Nice.
What does it do with animals? And we're live. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining Allyson and I. I have Allyson, of course, AriesGirl TAROT, hanging out with me tonight. We know it's Friday night. It's Friday night. Just got paid. So hearing me again with my songs and stuff. And my favorite Friday song is Friday I'm in Love by The Cure. I love that song. So every time I hear the word Friday, I hear that song in my head.
Right.
So we got a whole bunch of different channels having lives. So it's going to be a busy night, welcoming people coming in and out and people watching back on playback. So we have Tangi already hanging out with us. Hello. And we just saw there's Samantha. Hello, Samantha. Thanks for popping in. And let me get actually my banner up and get that up there and running so everybody can see. So yeah, with Friday nights, I just like hanging out with, typically the girls. One of these Fridays, I'll have hopefully Gerald and a couple of other guys chilling with us too. So yeah, it's just a hang back, end of the week. How's everyone's week going? Seeing people popping in. Samantha, Dina, that Shaw woman. Hello, Patricia. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, we had beautiful weather here today for Allyson and I. Allyson being in Michigan and being on the other side of the lakes. Beautiful 80-degree weather. We were at the park. Shan playing his guitar. Me doing some of my art sketches, and Allyson driving. Spring fever kids driving around back and forth between school and home. So we thank everybody for joining us. And I have a special story from today, but before I do any of that, Allyson's my guest. So, Allyson, is there anything fun or exciting or something new coming up that you want to share?
Oh, not really. No, not really. I mean, I'll probably post some videos. I'll probably post some videos this weekend. Mondays I'm on, Tuesday. Wait. Oh yeah, Monday I'll be on. I totally forgot. Monday I'll be on. I think it's on Val's channel, the Mystic Four. And
so you are part of the Mystic
Four of us that are reading, and we've done that a few different times. That's totally fun on Val Dragonfly Crystals. Mm-hmm. Tuesday I'll be on Transcend Politics with Val and Scott. I think it's Scott's turn, and then Wednesday is
Mystic Sisterhood.
What is it? Sisters of the Mystical Tarot.
Yep.
And and I'll just be posting videos here and there. Probably do at least a couple this weekend. And like you, I'm enjoying the weather. I'm home for a few hours in the middle of the day, every day. And I did sit outside, and we have a river that runs right through the property here. So I did sit outside for a while, and I walked my dogs, which I do every day. It's just really nice. But it did go basically here in Michigan from winter. We had a couple days of spring, summer, and now it's full on summer. So yeah.
Well, sitting by the river, we had a nice breeze. Yeah.
Yeah. Tank top and shorts to work, or I would just be, and I prefer to not have to dress that way, but it's like there's no choice. It's just too hot not to. So that's kind of a bummer. I love spring.
Yes, me too. But spring and fall are my two favorite seasons.
Yep, same here. Spring and fall. Yep. So no spring this year. And the lilacs are in full bloom. We have lilacs everywhere right now.
I love lilacs, and I don't live in their trailer court where we used to live. I had neighbors that would have them, so I would walk and ask permission if I could break off a couple and take them home. Mm-hmm. And we don't. Mm-hmm. And now I'm not there anymore, so it's just like I'm hoping at some point I can come across, at a park or something where I can maybe get a whiff of lilacs, because we had a tree in my house where I grew up. We had two of them, and
we did too.
As soon as they blew, my mom would snip, put them in the water, and bring them in, and the house would just smell of lilacs.
Yeah. Yeah, so. My sister always brought them in. We had two huge, I'm going to call them bushes. They were very round and massive, but we had them on the property mm-hmm. line right next to my sister's bedroom. And yeah, and the smell would come through the windows. And it's probably my favorite top smell.
Yeah. Yep. Not far from here in Rochester, they actually they're like the lilac capital, pretty much, of this area of New York State. They have the Lilac Festival, and it's just a whole
Oh,
park
I didn't
full
know
of
that.
lilacs. And when they bloom, everybody just flocks to Rochester to be able to enjoy them, and all the different colors they come in, all the different
They
smells.
do.
Um, so
The
even
lavender's
Dina
my favorite
says
though.
spring. Spring is her favorite too. Yeah, I don't like a lot of the cold. The cold doesn't bother me as much, but a lot of the snow, um, in the hot temperatures, I don't do great in heat. Um, that's
I don't
why
either. I don't like it hot. I don't cool down quick enough and all that, but I do love the sun. So I'm actually probably gonna do a video on that, about the sun and
Hmm.
all these beliefs and feelings and everything that people have
Oh, that
about the
sounds
sun and
cool.
what I've learned in the last year or so, and blah blah blah. But I digress. No, but I don't like to get super hot. But I love the
Hmm.
sun and like I said again, really briefly, in Michigan we get clouds. I think that was off camera. I was
So,
telling you it's very very cloudy here all the time, and we do get more sun in the summer than we
hmm
do any other time of year. And so, people are chronically low on vitamin D in Michigan.
hmm
So getting into the sun is crucial. I sit outside every day of the year just for that reason. Maybe not super long, but
just to
I'll
get
even
the
go out there without my coat. I'll go in a short shirt and suck it up and deal with it as much as I can.
Yeah, you'd fit right in with the regular Buffalo natives around here. It'll be like 45 degrees, 40. Guys are still running around, t-shirts and shorts. The only thing that gets
Yeah, I
me
mean, I do it to
upset is
get
when the
some sun
kids aren't
and
dressed properly. That's how
yeah,
kids get
well,
sick.
yeah, yeah,
But the adults, yeah, they'd be like, yeah, you can tell you're from Western New York when. And then you could put in, the t-shirt and the shorts and everything.
yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
I remember that with Michigan because when my sister, and when she was her first husband, was stationed in the Coast Guard up at Taos Bay, um, we went a couple times. One was when they were in Taos Bay, and one when they were just outside of Flint. And I remember that there were times when we were visiting that there were more cloudy days than there were, but even on
Oh
those
yeah.
cloudy days, the beach, because we were at Taos Bay and we were like right underneath the
Mm-hmm.
lighthouse. Here's the building, there's the lighthouse. And so, but yeah, it
Yeah,
was so beautiful. You walk out into the water, into the bay, and you could walk like almost a quarter mile or so out, and the water would still be at your waist and nice
yeah.
and warm and everything
Mm-hmm.
like that. So yeah, and then there was, I don't know if they still have it, Allison, but I remember as a kid we went to a place called the 99 Steps, and it's 99 steps down, and then it takes you down into this, I guess would be, maybe it was a gorge or something, and they would have the water, and you would see like tree stumps, and it was like a natural habitat. And then you had to go back up all 99
Oh, I
steps,
don't
and
know.
right near
That's
there was the gravitational house where they would have you walk in, and it would be like they would teach you about gravitation. However, the building was, or the area where they built it on, the gravitation was different. And I mean, this was when I was like 10 years old. So this is going back, a ways, but I always remember that. Boy, that 100
I
steps
don't
back up,
know.
let me
I mean,
tell
there's
you.
a lot of things in Michigan that I'm sure are here that I'm not even aware of.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I mean, we
Yeah,
did
it's
go
been
do
so
a lot
many
of
years.
things. And well, I was gone, but we did a fair amount of stuff as a kid. But there's
Hmm.
actually like all the beach towns, because I mean, you don't really think of Michigan as having beaches. I mean, they're freshwater beaches, right? I mean, it's not like you're going to go and, it's like doing nature type stuff, beaches, right?
Yeah.
And but there's a lot of different places, and I shouldn't even mention this, but I will very briefly, because I'm not going to be able to to say very much, but there's some type of a mine. The name is escaping me.
Hmm.
It's like it's a crystal. And it's a cave, not a mine. It's a cave. There's a crystal cave that you can take some sort of a ferry. Again, I shouldn't even have mentioned
Oh,
it because
wow.
I do not remember what the crystal is. But there's a crystal, and it's on the west side of Michigan. It's about halfway up the state. There's some little town there, and you can take a ferry boat out and you can go. You can't harvest, but you can buy them at the gift shop and this, that,
Gift
whatever.
shop.
But there is a
Hmm.
crystal that you can buy. They're blue, they're pale blue. I have one. And they're gorgeous.
Ooh.
That's something I didn't even know about until I was like 50. I didn't even know that was here. and it's always
Wow.
been here. So I mean, my
Well,
point is, there's things all over
everyone
the
can
state
Google.
that,
Hmm.
yeah, mm-hmm,
And for me, this
yep,
is going, I was 10 years old. I'm 52. So we're going back 40 some years. So, you know,
mm-hmm,
it may or may not be there. But the blue
yep.
crystal, oh my god, there is such a thing as, I think, naturally occurring blue quartz. Um, I know there's such a thing as blue calcite. Aquamarine, I know that they wouldn't because
It
aquamarine is
might
so
be the
expensive.
calcite, maybe it's not the other two. I mean, I know crystals and I'd remember it. You would think, anyways. Obviously not.
Hi,
It
Sabtina.
might be. It's not in here. It must be in my room. I was looking over. I've got a couple different displays, and it's not here. Um,
Yeah, I don't have any blue calcite, which is a shocker for me
you
because
know
I
what? If
love
I'll
calcite.
find out and I'll put it for anybody that cares. I'll put it in the comments on your page when I find it what it is. But it's
Hey,
really
TK.
cool, and I'm interested in going and doing that because you can do a fairy ride and check it all out and see it in its
Ooh,
natural
yeah.
form as it grew in the earth.
Same thing in Arizona. There's the petrified forest, and you could drive through and look at it, but it's against the law to remove anything from the
Right.
land. But in the souvenir shops, I guess there's certain areas, certain parts where they harvest some if you want to, buy a piece. Um,
And most areas are like that. Yeah.
Now, this I didn't get from Arizona, but this is a piece of petrified wood, and I
Oh,
did get
nice.
this in Arizona. Did I get that in Arizona? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. But it was cool. So I don't know if anybody can see it, but to me, it looks like it's a Hawaiian water goddess. It's like you can see like the layer around her head. You see the water like a wing, like her arm, and it comes down and around. So for me, this feels like
Oh,
I
I
have
do
a
see
water
that.
elemental. So
Mm-hmm.
this is one of my favorite pieces that I
Yeah, that's
absolutely
cool.
love. I will never let that go. That will always come with me. So it's interesting. We were talking about, broad petrified wood. I'm like, wait a minute, I have my slab right there. So, um, yeah, just looking at everybody coming in. Septina has come in. Teresa TK has come in.
Hi,
Patricia has
Mike.
come in. Been trying to make sure highlighting as y'all come in, and Isadora is here. So thank you, everybody. And again, Samantha, hello, thank you. And so a story that I wanted to share, and it was just like, oh, I want to tell Allyson now, but wait till I get, so she doesn't have to hear the story twice. But about 77 going on 8 years ago, um, I had a dog and her name was Piper. She was a shepherd chow mix. We're thinking maybe possibly because we got her when we were living in Arizona. Figured she might have had a little bit of dingo or coyote. She had a little bit of a wild streak in her. And um, she was 13 when we lost her. We had to let her go. She got sick. And then a couple years later, Lilu, our little whippet greyhound mix, she passed away. And typically Lilu comes in and says hi to me in my dreams and stuff and whatnot every now and then. I get to pet her and whatnot. But Piper usually doesn't come around that much. And when I asked Mark, the spirit whisperer,
Yeah.
you know, he's like, oh, but she's running around, she's doing her thing. She's with Howie. Howie was my cat, and they're just having fun doing their own thing. Doesn't mean they don't love Mama, but they're just. So I'm like, okay. So recently, Piper's been popping around a little bit with Lilu because I think even on the other side, our spirit animals that were part of our family, our fur babies, knowing we're going through some tough stuff. And so today, I'm at the park with Shan, and I'm on the phone with my sister because I haven't talked to my sister in a while, and she has a shepherd named Sheba, and her daughter just moved in, and her daughter had gotten a puppy. So I'm sitting there talking to my sister about the dogs, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this German shepherd comes running up. The guy didn't have his dog on the leash, and but she was friendly. And I was just kind of like, "Oh, hello, sweetheart," and I'm telling my sister, "Oh my God, Teresa, a dog just came ran up because I was telling you." So she comes right up and he's like, "She's not going to hurt you. She's okay. Are you all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And so we're tucking up to the side, and I said, "Oh, Teresa, she's beautiful. She's pure German Shepherd." And so I was set the phone aside, and I asked him, I go, "Oh, so what's her name?" And he goes, her name is Piper. My dog's name was Piper that I lost.
Yeah.
And Piper was part German Shepherd. And I told Teresa, oh my God, did you just hear that? This dog, of all names, this dog could possibly have. I rarely ever hear anybody naming their dog Piper. And my sister's going on the phone, oh my God, are you kidding me? And he's standing there, he's laughing. I said, sis, I got to let you go. So, I spent a good 10, 15 minutes playing with Piper and stuff and whatnot. And talking about the things that she used to do, which this one does. And telling him about how, she would go and grab these huge, big pieces of sticks. And she was out exploring. What does she do? She comes running with a big, huge piece of stick in her mouth, coming right towards me.
Yeah.
Now, other people would be like, oh, that's just a coincidence. No,
I mean, I think that it's really cool because you were outside, you guys were having an outing, da 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 da. It totally makes sense that for when she does visit, that's when.
She
and
makes sure.
Interesting. The dog was off leash and came right over to you and whatever, and Piper sent Piper over. Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Yeah. No, of course. Yeah. Well, people that that don't. Yeah. No.
And they had a lot of commonalities.
Aren't going to get it.
Yeah, right. They're not going to get it. He did. He was just kind of like, oh, okay. And I even showed the picture, of my Piper, and I said, yeah, that's my Piper. And so, I was emotional stuff whatnot, so we had to go shopping. So we go to Wegmans. I told Shane, I'm going to go online. You go out to the car. I'm going to grab us a sub. So I'm standing there. They were remodeling in Wegmans, with new pizza stand and whatnot, and everything, new glass. So a new glass thing was put up, and there's only one spot where they put the name of the company that does the glass, and the name of the company, everybody, Piper. I can't make this up.
Is it Piper's birthday or death anniversary coming up or around this time or anything like that? Or was it just a straight up really strong
She passed in June.
So
for the first neighborhood. Like the first 5 and 7 years. Yeah, 7 or 8 years. But yeah.
Yeah, and you get multiple stuff like that. Boom, boom, boom. It's
in one day.
You can't explain it away. You can't. No. Nope.
So Piper,
very
let
nice.
her mama know that she's with her. She knows she's going through stuff, and wishing mommy a happy Mother's Day for baby day. And everybody too, Allyson, ahead of time, happy Mother's Day.
Thank
Tell the mothers in chat, happy Mother's Day. And
yes, happy Mother's Day, everyone. Weekend.
Yes. And tomorrow, Andrea from My Tribe Tarot will be joining me at 7 p.m. for Mother Day messages. So hopefully everybody can join us for that. And we are at 8:19. So as everyone can see on the scrolling, Allyson and I will be doing personal questions, but we really like to have the questions specific. For her, at least for her and I, general kind of makes it hard because it's kind of like looking at the cards and not figuring out, well, because cards can go so many different ways. So if anybody has a specific question they would like to ask, I really don't do anything legal because I'm not a lawyer and I don't have a full knowledge of the law. I can do an energy around that kind of a specific question. Same with health, and this is me. I'm not sure how Allyson feels about reading, but with health, I don't diagnose. I always recommend first and foremost to please seek professional help when it comes to medical. I can do an energy read around the medical question, but nothing in diagnosing. And I didn't know if there was anything that you wanted to add to that, whether you do health,
no, that's
do
fine.
law, or...
I'll answer whatever. I don't really care. I mean, again, this is entertainment only. It's entertainment.
Bye, Satina. Thank you for popping in. Happy Mother's Day. So, and
yes, happy Mother's Day.
So a specific question is possible, please put that in. And also we would like to request that if you do request a reading, please remain in the chat. We have noticed recently a lot that people will post questions and then they will leave the chat and not come back, or come back later and say, well, where's my reading? And it's like, well, you weren't here, we had to give it to somebody else. So please be present for your reading. And if you can't be present, just let us know. And if you can pop back in, and if we have time, we'll relook at the question again too. So, and she's going to doing a quick break there, and I'm going to take a quick sip and give people time to put any questions they want into the chat. And we could do a collective as well. I don't know if Allyson do you want to start off with a collective while we wait for questions to start coming in? Okay. So basically so for the collective, that's kind of a general too. Now there was I get newsletters in my email every day from a website called the Daily Ohm. And today's subject was about compassion. And they offer classes and stuff too. And it was about, learning how to have compassion for people that, cut you off in traffic, or if they may appear to be rude to you, this or that. So maybe our collective reading could be, how can we foster more, compassion in our daily life, especially with the way the world is. So how does that feel to you? Because you're on mute. So would you like to add anything to that or change it up? You're my guest, so
no,
feel free to
say that, because I was talking to my cards about the general reading. So what did you say about compassion? That's going to be
the article is about learning how for people to have compassion. It's hard these days when you're out and people are cutting you off. People,
right,
are rude, whether this and that. And I just didn't know if perhaps maybe it's because doing a collective is still kind of like a general reading, and I know we like something a little bit more specific. So I didn't know if you wanted to put a twist on that.
Sure.
How can we have, or how can we
have more compassion for people when we're out in the world?
Okay. It's hard.
And then really quickly, I just posted an oracle reading for the fire signs today, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and all three signs got the compassion card from this deck.
Oh, wow.
So if anybody wants to watch that video, you don't have to, but for Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, they all three got the message of compassion to come through. And I kind of decided that it was just compassion in general, to have compassion for yourself.
Yeah.
Because so many people are going through things, as well as the obvious of having compassion for others, when you're out, just in whatever way is needed. Like if people upset you or somebody's rude to you, the spiritual way to look at it. I know we're all humans, and some days you're really spiritual, and other days you're like,
other days it's like, well, like I said, we're human. We can't. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here.
When somebody's nasty like that, they're hurting. Hurt people, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, compassion is a wonderful thing, and it's not always possible. But as much as you can, it's a good idea to try to have compassion for others. So. No, I think that's a great idea.
Okay, so how can we foster more compassion for ourselves and others?
People that are nasty when we're out there. You want to do that?
I could think of other words, but that would be very compassionate, wouldn't it?
Right. How can we have more compassion in general?
Yeah, I think that would be a good,
Okay.
That we can add to it, however our cards come up. Okay, so Dina and Patricia, I have your questions starred. Yes, they're insane. Yes, they are, Dina. Okay, Tangi, listening mode. Hear ya. Perfect. I got my cards right off the bat, so I'm going to go ahead. So, how can we foster more compassion for ourselves and for others in these trying times? Perfect. I got the brown card. Establish boundaries. So, if we want to grow and continue being loving and kind beings as much as we possibly can, being compassionate. And like I said, this is really important for ourselves as well, for our mental health and our spiritual well. I mean, the next card is going to connect that right to it. But brown two, getting grounded, establishing your boundaries. Lavender, connect to mind, body, and soul. Meditating, getting outside, getting grounded, trying to earth more, taking your feet, socks off, sitting your feet just on the ground, feeling that connection that we've lost, that natural energetic connection all creatures and all beings on this planet have with our Mother Earth. So connecting that, meditating, being grounded, being mindful of your breathing. And Violet, create a balanced life. So by doing these two things, fostering compassion and kindness to ourselves helps us put us into a frame of mind, both body, mind, and soul, where we can create a more balanced life within ourselves. And that way we're able to sustain what comes at us from the outside world. So
I love that deck.
yes, it is the Secret Language of Color cards.
Yeah, those are really pretty.
In a
I like the
Segal, yeah.
messages.
And being an artist, I had to have the colors, so it's a perfect deck.
And both of those were very appropriate for our reading on.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, ah!
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. And lavender is very
Hi, Rossi.
I always think of my labor for my son because I had a doula, and she used aromatherapy throughout my 15-hour labor. Oh, and wow. She kept changing what we were using depending on what stage we were in the labor, and there was a lot of lavender.
I didn't know that you did that.
Lavender and think of lavender, I think of my labor. Wow. But anyhow, so I got Goddess, and this is just very similar to, it's not the same message, but it reminds me a lot of Grounded, right? So whenever you are remembering, and this is for, I mean, it doesn't have to be male, but that is pretty feminine, Goddess. Whenever you're in that energy and you hold that energy as much as you can, you're just going to be compassionate. You're just going to have compassion, right? Because you're in high vibration, and you are in a loving energy. So these are the two cards that I got. So I got
Those
Goddess
and
Love. And so it's about holding that energy as much as you can, and you will automatically, you just will be compassion. You just will have compassion. I'm very compassionate. Not that a lot of others aren't, but I'm just saying it's just something that just comes very naturally for me. Not that, when you have, because I was just mentioning like exchanges that you'll have with nasty people, and a lot of times I just I don't take it personal, but sometimes you do. It just kind of depends on what space you're in. So like your question is, how did you word it again? I'm sorry.
How we can foster, facilitate,
hold that space,
more compassion, for others,
exactly.
and for ourselves as well. I mean,
right.
It has to start
and so
with
if you're
us.
holding, yep. And then I drew also from my Flowers of the Night. It's basically the same thing, but just in the words of that deck. I got preserve and focus, right? So it's just being focusing on holding that space and preserving that space of having compassion. I'm going to mute while my for a second.
They want mama's attention. They're like, Mama, you're not paying attention to me. So yeah, that's fine.
I'll just mute for a second.
So yeah, like with Allyson, was saying, that's why that boundaries, it is so important, that we maintain those for ourselves, because if we can't sustain self-compassion versus work, because we're just human beings. If we were perfect light workers and light beings, we wouldn't be here. There'd be no purpose of us having an earthly plane life, if we were already so enlightened that we knew how we can. Because people who say, well, I'm always, love and light, I'm like, yeah,
No, I think if we're all
no,
being very true with
we're
ourselves, I don't think
human,
it's
very truthful.
possible.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
why we're here.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so we have just 2 questions so far. And I believe this was Dina's. It wasn't Caps, but I think I have a specific question. Will I get the Chevy Equinox soon? Now, when it comes to timing, cards are just really, like, I've been learning that from other readers. Timing is so hard. So I'll pull cards to see the energy of getting the vehicle. But really, for me, I can't necessarily really connect with timing through cards. Now, some people have, more connection to spirit where they can hear a time or get a message that way.
Energy is fluid. You can't really do timing. Sorry, that's my opinion. It's just certain things I think maybe I don't have that, but yeah.
So, seeing that we're on a color craze tonight, I'm going to grab out my other color deck and see what we get on here.
Can you put that question back up really quick?
Sure.
Can you do that? Thank you. There we go. Okay.
Sorry, everybody. Spelled the wrong way. So I noticed that Dina put it's in probate. I'm not sure what probate means. His paperwork is done and turned in. So,
She waiting for a settlement for cash or something?
I don't know. This is what the car. Will I get the Chevy Equinox soon, or how long? All the paperwork is kind of in probate. The paperwork was done and turned in.
For the purchase?
I guess so. That's what she put right underneath her question. I'm going to see if. So I guess it has to do with or will the title transfer go smoothly? Well, right now, I'm just going to go ahead. Dina, take comfort. It's springtime. I'm getting take comfort. Have faith. I know you're kind of sad right now. You're going through some stuff, wondering when am I or when I'm not going to, get it. But I did get as your last card, success. And with the success card feeling like it's the sun and feeling so warm, you should know by this summer when it will go through, or it may, go through just at the beginning or sometime during the summer. That's how I'm going to kind of do the timing thing, just because it's beautiful. The sun's out, you got this rainbow success. So I'm going to stick with it's going to happen. And possibly summer. And I'll, see what Allyson gets on those.
I just pulled 2 cards, and I contemplated doing the tarot. Maybe I should have. I'm just trying to do the oracles more because everybody's always doing the oracle cards. But I got preserved. That doesn't sound like, I don't know what you mean by soon. And again, I don't do timing, but preserve doesn't sound immediate. Doesn't mean that it's long, but preserve is more like, we all know what preserve means, right?
I like patience.
And then I got purposeful, which is also another word, not another word, but makes me think of like methodical. And like you just mentioned that you're going through some sort of steps or something like that. So based on these 2 cards, I do think it's going to happen. So I don't know if you have any question about whether or not it's going to happen, but the timing, I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry. But it looks like yes. It's just not going to be immediate. But I think you already knew that.
She added later on, or will the title transfer go smoothly? Now, in my cards, I'm seeing yes. You're just going to have to be patient. It's going to take a little time. I got that sad card. Like, you're like, I really want this card. But eventually, that last card I got was success. So I'm still feeling like those cards still apply to the transfer going.
Yeah, and purposeful is like a, it's like a, about organization and this, I could absolutely apply this to paperwork. Purposeful, you know what I mean? So
cool.
I don't feel bad about it at all. I don't get any bad feeling off of it at all, if that's any consolation.
Yep. She says, thank you, Allyson. Understood. Awesome.
Oh,
that's what we want to hear.
And I just got radiant and luminous, so I would say yes. I mean, it's a yes. Again, I don't know if you were questioning it at all, but it feels good. I just don't know about the timing.
And Allyson, if you want to use tarot, I mean, go right ahead, because I know
I'll use whatever I feel like.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I toss back and forth between the
more
2.
diverse, because I'm always doing tarot, and I'm trying to mix it up a little bit.
No, do you really? Well, it's good though to know that tarot, that knowledge, because sometimes you need that more specific answers.
Yeah,
the tarot can give
them, right? So yeah. So. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's why I'm doing more, because I'm doing more stuff that's more like regular questions and not just reading on like signs and stuff. So it's more
So Patricia has a when will I find a new apartment? And again,
another timing question. But I totally
Patricia,
get it.
Is there any way you want to maybe rewrite? Is there something else that we can look towards? We can read towards this apartment besides timing? Like, is something, are you like, will a opening come up? Something with time, unless you want to go ahead and tackle it and see what we get. I'm trying to see what I can. I'm going to stick with these cards. Here, let me put this back on. You're muted, Allyson.
What's that?
You were muted. I didn't know if I saw you talking.
Yeah, I muted purposely. I talk out loud.
Oh, okay. I didn't. Well, is she talking to herself?
Otherwise, you guys would be going nuts listening to my cards shuffle and me talking. I say it aloud. I know everybody else doesn't.
Yes, some people shuffle really loud, so I get it. My shuffling never gets too loud. Let me know. Because I don't do the riffling, and that makes a lot of. Okay, Patricia, new apartment. Okay, Patricia, we're good. I'm getting a bit of a picture here. Go ahead.
I think, I mean, I don't know how long you've been looking, but I mean, it seems like, I mean, you could, I guess it depends on how particular you're going to be or if you're looking for something specific. I think that there's either you're going to be getting some information about one, or so I had High Priestess, 3 of Wands, right? So this is about you, first thinking about it, deciding, whatever. 3 of Wands, taking action on it, start looking. Ace of Swords, this is about you, either deciding something about what you're looking for, or it was some sort of information or something occurred to you, that kind of thing. 8 of Wands, so this could be about communication or quick action being taken towards it, or you could get some sort of communication. But I have a Strength card, and this tells me that that it's going to continue, right? So I don't think you're going to find anything right away, or you do, but for whatever reason you pass on it, right? Because the Strength card is the outcome, means that you're still looking, right? And that could be for any number of reasons, right? Most of us at some point in our life have looked into getting an apartment, whether it's because you don't
Yeah.
like it, it wasn't available, you weren't approved, blah, blah, blah. There's so many different things. But I don't think it's going to be right away. If you did find something and you were okay with it, I think maybe you just don't like it. I don't know, but that's how I would interpret this spread.
Okay. Boy, when it comes to apartments, don't I know about that? So, Patricia, I'm getting that. Okay, so I'm going to kind of, lately my readings are going backwards. It's like the last cards I end up pulling take me back and show the way to the beginning, which is really interesting. So I got the Hunger card, I got the Determination, and I also got the Death card. It's showing that you are really, you're stagnating. The Death, of course, doesn't mean death. It means about a rebirth. Sometimes having to wait a little longer for something to die away so that something else can be reborn. So right now it just feels like, I know you're determined, you're really hungry, you really want to get out of this place, and it'll be a good starting. It'll be a rebirth, this new place for you. So I guess I'm just gonna kind of go backwards in the way the cards are. First of all, there is a disruption right now, and that disruption is reminding you, when you go to look at these apartments, use your intuition. Make sure that that you need to, like with us, we really want to get out of this place, but we don't want to jump into something that's just as bad or worse. So just use your intuition. Look into the apartment buildings, apartments, and make sure that when you do, everything that you want in this apartment building, location, rent, etc., is everything that fits perfectly with what you are looking for, like being very specific on what you need. And with the protection too, is that like when you go to sign paperwork, make sure every little detail, you read everything. Don't make the mistake of, like we did, by assuming they weren't going to raise our rent, because by law they're supposed to tell you, but they didn't here, and we didn't read the fine print when we signed our lease, renewed, and we got hit with a rent increase. So just be very careful. Make sure you're protected. Make sure everything that you truly want is in this place. And when you do, the happiness, you're going to have sweetness. It's going to be the perfect place. Just make sure that you use intuition. You feel everything out. Like with, I think with the 3 of Wands, Allyson, you said looking out, keeping your sight on what it is exactly is that you want. Make sure everything is all in place, and that you read every fine print. Have everything written out that you need to ask about the apartment, everything, just so that you're protected. That it'll be the perfect home for you, where you'll be happy, where you'll be able to live happily, and you don't have to worry about having to move again. So I know that was a little drawn out, but I just wanted to make sure that I got all the what I was getting from the card. So you did get 3 of Wands, right? Yep. Okay. You're still muted, so I don't know if you meant to be muted.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, and I also have my fan. That time I did forget. I have my fan on. I don't know if
Me
everybody
too.
can hear that or not, but
No, that's why I was like waiting to see if someone said, Heather, you sound like, something's
I have it
distant
on
or, but I haven't
low.
seen.
I don't. I can barely hear it, but sometimes stuff picks up. It's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
You're welcome, Patricia. My neighbors are not. Many neighbors are not considered to be safe. Same here. We know exactly
I feel
what that's.
so blessed. I'm very content where I'm living, but I haven't always felt that way. So I totally get it.
It's in the fine print. Learn from our mistake. We assumed, even though by law they're supposed to tell you if there's going to be a rent increase, they didn't. And repairs, everything still have not been done on the apartment, and they still didn't let us know about. I mean, yeah. So just be very careful on what you sell. Make a list of questions. Make sure you can cover everything that you can possibly think of and address. Make sure that it's, like Rossi said, devil's in the details. All right, so we have one more question left, and it's from Rossi's. And light workers are saying it's a good time to increase your frequency. What can one do to raise or improve it? Great question. They're all good questions. But light workers say now is a good time. That's going to be a different deck. Well, I think that's part 2 of the collective I got in the beginning. I got the lavender card. I'm going to toss some more cards, but the lavender, connecting to mind, body, and soul, mind, body, and spirit, being grounded, creating, being grounded, establishing healthy boundaries.
Going to bed at a set time as much as you can, getting outside every day.
Balance. Yep. There you go. Balance, sleep, diet.
Walking on the ground. Taking your glasses off, sitting outside in the sun. Sitting outside in nature for a few minutes every day. Also getting off screen time, like what we're doing right now, not doing too much of that. Watching the sunrise and watching the sunset is huge, and hardly so few people do that.
See what Dina said.
I'm
not used to seeing something like that from Dina.
With a tube of KY. What's KY?
KY jelly, lubricant.
Oh, I think I know what that is.
Yeah.
What is it? Some applications should just. Yeah. Oh, I see what she's saying. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? That's true. And I'm not taking away from that. I totally get it. But like, you should always read thoroughly anything that you're signing that's a contract, the entire thing. And if you don't understand it, give it to one of your smart friends. Like my brother-in-law is like Mr. Genius. Whenever I need anything signed, I'm like, here, will you look this over after I read it, right? And sure enough, he always sees something that I don't really, or if there's something I don't understand or whatever, especially during Mercury retrograde, right? Monday it goes back direct, but we got another 2-week shadow period. So for anybody that's signing anything, I'd wait another 2 weeks before you sign anything, reading it or not.
That's good advice. I got to look at the question again. My little one here. You going to help me with this one?
Yeah.
Light workers are saying it's a good time to increase our frequency. What can we do to raise and improve our frequency? You ready for
Connecting with the planet.
Earthing, definitely. There's a great documentary called
I already
Earthing.
said a whole bunch of stuff, but yeah.
It came out in 2013. We just recently saw it. It was free on YouTube. And it's a documentary of this guy who learned about earthing, connecting his bare feet to the earth, the electromagnetic energy that comes up that helps heal our bodies, reestablishes our natural connection to the earth. Because because that's what we are a part of. People keep separating themselves from the earth, saying we're superior. We don't need to be, we're of our own superiority, and people don't realize is that we are a part of the earth, and everything that's in its natural rhythms is a part of our natural rhythms. And when you separate that, when you disconnect that, it throws our own healing energy in our bodies off.
Perfect.
Because we're connecting off from, source.
Yeah. Think of early man. What did early man do? We're not doing any of that stuff anymore. So you want to know how to raise your frequency and be more, it's just, you need to get back to more natural living, because we've completely removed ourselves from that as a whole.
It's called
and I got my
purpose.
I got balance and purpose.
Here, let me
be balanced. Oh, sorry. So it's about being balanced, having purpose, right? It's basically, I'm just going to take it back to what I was saying. I think that's why my guides threw me out, or I pulled, or whatever you want to call it, these cards. So, and I'm not trying to say I'm so perfect at doing this, but I do all of these things to some degree every day. And also, like the food, chemicals and dyes and preservatives and all that garbage, get rid of that junk. It will help raise your frequency. It's kind of a no-brainer. We were not meant to do any of that as humans. We just weren't.
And she knows. She's got a degree in sports medicine, and you were a vegan.
That's not about food, though.
Well.
You embarrass me. Yes, but yeah, no.
I'm not embarrassing. I'm just sharing that you have knowledge, that you've studied this for your degree.
It kind of applies. But like, just think of early man, and then however you can apply that. I mean, we're not, as a whole, we're not living the way we were intended to be. We're in these houses all day under all this artificial light, staring at blue light, wearing glasses, eating fake food. I mean, it's crazy. And then we wonder why we're not so high frequency and why we're all sick.
Yeah. And what I was saying is that oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
Oh, it keeps getting stuck. But I was just saying is I wasn't trying to embarrass you. It's just that, I'm just like, people know that, you've been to school, you did health work. You were a vegan, you said, for years, right? Vegetarian, vegan.
Yeah, and then I got really sick from being a vegan.
And she got really sick. So by going through all this, Allyson has learned what works best for her body, but for people's bodies in general. So she's very knowledgeable.
Yeah, everybody's different, of course,
but YouTube, entertainment purposes only. She's not a doctor, but she does have a degree in certain things. But just
think about, I don't have a degree. I was certified, but think about how people, early man, and we only know this from science and everything else and researchers, early man, we died of viruses, childbirth, accidents, that kind of thing. We did not die of high blood pressure, heart disease, circulation issues, digestive issues. I mean, you could get poisoned, that kind of stuff. It's our lifestyle and how we live that has changed, and that's, and it does all relate to frequency, and it's all intertwined. And it's because we have become so dehumanized. We're hothouse plants.
Desensitized, dehumanized. It's that to me, that's the real pandemic. Us becoming so cut off from each other, believing everything that gets fed to us.
And everything now, everything has to be fast, and like people
consumerism,
turn
everything.
off their computers and go sit outside and watch the sunset.
Well, when we were younger, Allyson, a lot of these like viruses and diseases that are rampant these days, high blood pressure, diabetes, and all this wasn't rampant like it is now. When we were younger, we were the generation that went outside and played. We played in the dirt. We played in the mud. We rode our bikes.
We played outside till it got dark in the summer.
And, our foods back then, a lot of it wasn't full of, we could eat sometimes junk or, stuff, but we would have the metabolism wasn't full of the preservatives. We weren't sitting in front of our TV all day playing video games or being on our phones. So we were constantly active and connected to the earth. I played with my Barbie dolls, but yeah, I climbed trees. I was a tomboy. I love getting up into trees.
I was too.
I fell out of them, but I got up into trees. Played in the dirt.
Yep.
We come from a whole totally different generation than what's being raised right now.
Mm-hmm.
And for Rossi's answer, I used the Gemstone Guardians. Ivana's friend, Cheryl, who did these cards, Cheryl and Marlene. And the first one I got was quartz, clear light. The question, oh, you heard the treat bag. He just went running. I got the clear light. Light brings clarity and helps eliminate fear. So allowing the light, whatever little bit of light you have, you can muster. Even if it's just a little bit, that's still a lot. That you can focus on and start bringing that into your life. The next card I got was Agate Rainbow Strength. Find peace within to experience transcendence here and now. So finding the peace, the beauty, everything around you and within people right now. I know there's a lot of horrible stuff going on in the world. I ended up reading up on a child that's been missing. And they're not really, the authorities for some reason are dragging their feet trying to help find what happened to this little boy. So I'm seeing, and I know there's just so much of this heaviness, this negativity, but we have to learn how to start finding peace within ourselves, because it all starts with us. And when we find that inner peace, we start to make our light a little bit brighter. And then the last one I got is beautiful too. I got Soda Light, Liminal Starlight. Truth is only painful when its emerging presence breaks down deceit, denial, and ignorance. Take a deep breath and allow the broken bits to fly away. So again, and I'll just keep that up there because I know it's a mouthful. And I'm still learning these cards too and connecting. Now, these are like the Akashic records that Cheryl and Marlene channeled using the Akashic records of certain crystals that come to Earth in general. So for Soda Light, this is what its message was. And the big theme in all the crystals coming through in their book is their message to us is trying to forego fear and getting out of that place of fear, which holds us into, that darkness, that, unable to have compassion for one another's ourselves. That's reflected back and forth to us through social media and how we should look, how we should this, how we should that, and just kind of like shutting it all off, closing the door for a moment, and just having that moment of peace. Yeah, peace. You know, and like Allyson and I said, if there's some leg worker that says, well, I'm doing this, I can do this every day, and it's not true, because we all are human and we're all experiencing this together, and we just support each other and help each other's light grow brighter and brighter. Really. I hope she gives updates. Yeah, if I hear anything, I'll let everybody know. Maple syrup in the snow. I'm not sure. Wait a minute. I was like, what? Maple syrup. Yeah, we made ice cream from snow one year. Okay. And then maple syrup in the snow. Yeah, natural snow cone. That's cool.
We had that big winter storm in 76 and we didn't have any power for days. And I remember this really well in 76. So I was 6 and my mom made us ice cream, but she used snow, vanilla extract, and I think it was sugar. And she somehow did it. I mean, it's more like a slushy, but I'm sure it was similar to the snow with the syrup. Yeah.
That sounds cool.
And when you're little, you're like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, I remember the following year, the blizzard of 77, when we got packed in here in Buffalo. That was something, let me tell you. So that was all of our questions. We are actually at exactly 9:00. We've been on for an hour. And I guess that's a good time as any to end. unless there's anything else somebody wanted us to read on. I know there are a lot of other shows going on right now, and I don't know what your energy is, Allison, but not shooing anybody away, but just if the energy is.
No, I'm good. I can keep going, or we can sign off. I mean, if there's no more questions, then there's no more questions, I guess.
I'll just, if anybody in chat, has anything that they want to talk about or address that Allyson and I could maybe like answer, give our point of view. We don't have a time restraint like on some shows we do, because it's just her and I. This was lovely, and I think that's it. It looks like the message I needed to get out was given out. So just remember, moving forward, just to have compassion for ourselves. We are not perfect. And if there's a light worker you see on YouTube saying that I've perfected light work and I'm this enlightened being, 24/7 and then it's just, you might want to reconsider, watching somebody else, because that happened to me. I had people telling me, well, if you're not connecting to Reiki symbols, then you're not trying hard enough. You're not working hard enough. Or if this is, blah, blah, blah. It was always something that I was doing wrong. If something wasn't going, it's just that kind of like, I don't know if it's the imposter, but that I can't think of what it is. But it's that spiritual egotism that some, people get caught up in. So just know.
Yeah, and always listen to your gut. You hear something like that, that's a signal to back off. Like, okay,
yeah, and me, trusting these people, I thought to myself, well, maybe they're right. Maybe I am doing something wrong. And took a while to kind of come around and see that, that was a load of BS. So, Isadora, we actually did do a group reading in the beginning. That was our very first reading. So if you want to go and watch back on playback, that was unless Allyson, you wanted to end on another one, but
sure, we can do
another community read to end the show. Okay, let's grab those color cards.
You want to just leave it open-ended and whatever comes through comes through?
Yeah.
For the community read, I don't mind doing that because it's just kind of like there is no wrong. It's always going to be a good message.
Yeah. And people can take whatever, resonates with them, Because but I love, why can't I think of her name right now? My other friend who does astrology, Brenda Tarot. She does them for the signs as well. And like with Allyson's, it's like, this is a general, but take what resonates with you and what doesn't, leave that behind and, go on from there. So, oh, hi, Lisa, Mystic Traveler. You have to join us some evening. I'll host here on my channel, and I'll send you the link, and Lisa, you can join us. And this is who Lisa is. She's Mystic Traveler. And she's badass. She's got 3 electrical guitars. And she's an artist. So she's played her guitar on her channel. She's shown us her artwork. So yeah, she's pretty cool. And I'm going to go ahead. Whoops. There we go.
Oh, so I got 3 cards that came out. So the first card, I think, can apply to the second and the third. So the first card that came out was manifest, and we all know what that means, right? It's pretty straightforward.
I love those cards.
Yeah, there's a witch and she's walking away. I'm not really sure why they put this scenery with manifest. A lot of them make sense, and then a couple of them I'm like, well, the art's beautiful, but I'm not really sure why that picture goes with that word. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so this is manifest. We all know what that means, right? And it's a witch, and we all have the ability. This is very much like the magician card, right? You have everything you need. We all do. You can manifest whatever it is. It's just focus and intention and being positive, right? And then I got fulfillment. fulfillment. So you
Oh,
can manifest
for cool
fulfillment
cards.
for yourself, right? And then I also got abundance. You can manifest abundance, right? So if you want or desire any of these things, again, this is a general reading, right? Or you can read these individually, fulfillment. Actually, no, this one absolutely goes with this manifest. And they did come out together. These are the two that actually came out together. And then I got abundance separate. But I really felt like it went with the manifest card. So if anybody's lacking in anything or they're needing something in their life, right? This is about manifesting whatever it is that you need, this abundance, right? You can do that with focus and intention and all that. We were just talking about raising the frequency and how you can do that. When you raise your frequency, if you do those things, you do draw to you what you desire. So, if you are lacking in anything, that's one way to do it. And another way to manifest abundance is to get rid of what you don't need. We were talking about that. You were there, Heather.
Wednesday.
This must have been the other
It
night
was
on
Wednesday.
Sisters in Tarot about, getting rid of what you don't need, right? So,
Allie
like
brought it
going
up.
through and what you don't need, getting rid of it and letting it go. And then that's just the way that it works. What you do need will come to you, right? Unless you,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's other things that could come into it. And it's just my opinion. If you're really, there can be blocks, right? And it's usually our own energy that we're putting out there if it's not going to come in, if we're really like doubtful or negative or whatever it is.
And
But
it's okay to have those days like that because we're human.
yeah, you
It's
just don't want to
natural
live
for
in
us to have that
energy.
fear,
Absolutely.
but we
Yep.
don't want to fester in it. We don't want to not bake in it. What was it when you roast? You don't want to roast yourself in it. You don't want to bask in its juices.
Yeah, you don't want to be Eeyore.
No. Yes.
No.
And if you feel like Eeyore, then it's a good thing to reach out to maybe somebody in your community for mental health, someone to talk to. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so if you find that you have more days where you're having a hard time processing or getting through depression, and depression can manifest itself in many different ways, not just by sadness, but through grief or through anger or frustration, just feeling unmotivated, feeling stuck. If you have days that go on too long, and it may be a good thing, you know, ignore the stigma about what people say about mental health, and find a counselor in your area. If you don't feel like you can talk to a friend or a family member that won't because unless some will judge. So sometimes it's good to find a counselor. I found the right one. I've had her for 6 years, and it does wonders to have someone to talk to. It really does. Um, so I'm going to just pull myself over here, and the three cards that I got were perfect. I got watermelon. Have fun with your inner child. So this is a great way of letting things go. Having fun with your inner child, being playful, being creative, doing those things like Allyson and I were talking about in the beginning, like we did when we were younger, going outside, going for a walk in the woods, ride your bike if you can still ride, roller skate if you can still roller skate, pull out a coloring book. Go get a coloring book, if a kid's coloring book and a box of Crayola crayons, pull those out, enjoy the smell like we used to when we were kids, color outside the lines, do whatever, but just reconnect with that, what those the joys that your inner child felt growing up. The next card I got was Rose, attracting a relationship. And with this card, it just feels like it's when you're in touch with your inner child, when you're happy, when your light is much stronger, when you're happy with who you are as a person, you will attract those like relationships. It doesn't necessarily mean an intimate relationship, but this also could mean you'll develop a more personal relationship with yourself, more loving, more self-compassionate, more forgiving, and those kind of like this is weird how this kind of just jumped in my head, like the saying of the wounded warrior, the not wounded warrior, the wounded healer. they said the only way to be a healer is being wounded. Well, some people say, well, that's not right to say that, but you know what? We've all been wounded in our lives. We've healed in our lives, and it's those wounds are there as a guide to remind us, where we've come from, and those moments. And I love how with the rose it spirals inward and it comes back out. So it's going within and coming back out again. That rebirth, rediscovering who you are. And to me, this last one's my favorite. So when we're done here, everybody go get yourself some chocolate. Just even if it's a little bit. Chocolate makes you feel good, just like in Harry Potter. When Professor Lupin gave Harry some chocolate, here, it'll make you feel better. Nourish your body and soul. Do things that hot, like with Septina, she likes taking bubble baths, and she gets pure cacao and she sprinkles it in her water. So she has like a lovely chocolate scented bubble bath. So little different things that nourish our soul, that keeps us in a good place mentally, especially with everything going on in our personal lives and the world around us. And there was one question to Allyson that Patricia posted, and I want to see if you want your opinion on this. How often should people get a reading based on the free will factor?
Some people I don't think ever need a reading. It's just whatever. That's an interesting question. It's a good question. I think it's just how often should people get a reading? That's going to be completely up to this is my opinion. The person that, some people don't question anything. They don't have any questions. They're very content. Other people want to know stuff all the time. There's people that throw cards on themselves constantly. Like me, I don't throw cards for myself.
I can't read too much for myself.
Yeah, and I think probably, I'm sure there's people that can. I think probably most people can't, because it's just you can't get out of your own way. But what was the second part of that? She said, how often should people get a reading? And then what else did she say? Is it based
how much is it based on free will?
I don't know what she means. I know what free will is.
It's like, well, it's basically when, let's say someone came to you with a question and says, well, and you say, well, if you follow this, and this will be the most likely outcome. So they can ask us a question and we'll say, well, with the cards, this is the current situation, this is the possible outcome. Moving ahead, if it's at an outcome that they don't want, they have the free will most of the time to be able to change that.
And
so it's only for me, the cards
moment, which could change at any time.
Yes. Yeah. The cards are kind of like
it's so, the person that's reading it, how good of a reader they are, how much they're picking up on your energy. Are they deciphering the cards correctly for the situation? Also, it's in that moment. It's like, it's a picture in time, right?
Yes.
But often,
it's a guide.
If varies or changes, that will be what, comes to be. So, yeah. I don't know. Like me, I don't get readings very often, but it's because I just don't really, I don't really know anybody. I don't, I'm talking about in person. I don't mean online. I mean, where you go in, you sit down and you get a tarot reading in person with somebody, right? Which you don't have to do it that way at all. But that's how I preferred. I'm just being honest. That's how I prefer to get a tarot reading, is live in person.
Well, that's what I like about Allyson. She's very honest. She's upfront. She's honest.
You're always going to.
She tells it like it is.
And, even if you don't like it, or I'm not your cup of tea or whatever, I'm always honest with everything.
Because I know there's some readers that will be like, oh, yeah, I get that too. Or yeah, I agree. And then it's like later on you'll watch another live or something and the answer's not quite, you know what I mean? So that's why, Allyson, I like inviting Allyson to do readings.
That's something else with my readings. And
the egos are set aside.
I read exactly what I get. And I think for a lot of people, it's a little off, like with the love readings. I'm just very honest with what I get, and they're not, all fluffy and positive. Some of them are. It's whatever comes out. I read it as it really is. So.
Yep. And another thing too with Patricia, and I noticed that, having a channel now for oh my goodness, it's a year and a half now, almost 2 years. And being in chats, I know there are a lot of people who like to go from live to live, reader to reader, asking the same question. And sometimes it's the same question multiple times a
I've
week
seen.
on different shows.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get wanting to get a little bit of a variation to see different perspectives. But sometimes I do feel people rely too much on readers thinking that, what we say is, is law, is what's deemed, it's what's in the, we can go by what our understanding of the card is, the image, and we give that over to the person. But otherwise, sometimes some people do get so addicted that they can't make a move for everything without going to there's got to be a healthy balance with, you know,
And find a reader you resonate with,
yes,
like I used to
exactly.
watch, just really quickly, I used to watch
Sure.
several different people, or I shouldn't put it that way. I have tried watching numerous people, and some of them I subscribed just because I liked them and I found them entertaining, and other people because they pick up on my energy. And so I will watch that reader because they get my energy. And so it just kind of yeah, it's and that's for the type of readings that I do. I don't mean like watching political or whatever, obviously. But like when you're just watching like general readings for your zodiac sign and all of that.
So that was a great question. Thank you, Patricia.
Yeah.
And really quick, Lisa, Mr. Traveler popped in. Thank you for popping in and saying hi. Kristen Louise just popped in and said hi. And Kristen Louise is the one who created the Star Room oracle cards that I use. She's been a guest. I think it was last year in November, Kristen. And Kristen's going to be back. I believe it's on the 23rd. I have to go back and check, and she'll be a guest on. So looking forward to having Miss Kristen Louise on again. And Mr. Lisa says folks need to realize a reading is just advice, but they have to do the work as per what spirit says or advises. So like I said, there's that balance, you know. And yeah, sometimes too many people, and I've seen people get upset, if but so and so said, and that person so and so said, and then it's just like, well, this is what. So yeah, that kind of energy's
And it's
out there, but
art. It's an art. And some people are, it gets interpreted differently. Some people are better, sorry, at reading than other people. There's different decks, there's different interpretations, there's different energies, there's different, plus there's the vibration of the person that's reading the cards. I mean,
there's
a
so
lot
much
of
that's
things going on.
Mhm. Exactly. That's why
Yep.
one person will get really good readings from one reader, and another person will be like, well, they really didn't get. Well, then that your energy connection with that individual is not going to be the same, and then there may be another reader where that energy connection, because we're all different. We're all different
Yep.
energies. We all connect differently to one another, and like some readers read well with others. Some of it just really flows, and then others it's just kind of like, for me there have been times when it's been kind of painfully static. And it's just like, well, it was what it was, and hopefully the messages were, but moving forward, that perhaps in the future I might not read as much with another particular individual like I did at that time, just because certain energies just don't mesh, and it's okay. It's not against anybody. So it's just how we're all wired.
Yep.
you know
And it can shift and change, and it's
exactly.
interesting. Many times I've read with actually I've read with Val on different platforms, different channels, and often, not every time, but often her and I will pull very much the same thing, different decks of cards. So like, what is that? I have no idea, but it's interesting. It's just interesting seeing all the different layers and things that occur doing all of this kind of work. It's fun
That's how I, that's how I
for
am with
entertainment
Ivana.
purposes only.
Yes. But that's how I am with Ivana when we do the full moon readings, and why I still love doing them with her is just because when we read, it's like we bounce off of each other. You
Yeah,
know, the cards aren't
very cool.
always the same, but they're similar, and you know, it's just a really happy, energetic, positive vibe, and that's why
Hmm.
some people say, well, you focus on reading with more certain people than others, and I'm like, that's because my energy meshes well with them, and that's why I like inviting them back to my channel. So, um, and for any
Yeah,
latecomers, Allison will be with the Mystic Four on Monday
yeah, on Val's channel at
on Val's
uh,
channel,
7 p.m. Eastern.
and then she is with Scott and Val on Tuesday for their political readings. Then the Mystic Sisterhood with her and I and the other ladies on Wednesday. So you're very busy.
I guess
And
I
tomorrow,
am. I'm listening to this going, geez, I guess so. It's just 7 o'clock. It's Tuesdays and every Tuesday and Wednesday. But this week
yeah,
we are doing the Mystic Four again on Monday. And that's been a lot of fun. One other
I'll
thing
have to
I
check
wanted
that
to throw
out.
in here. Yeah,
Sure.
one other thing I just wanted to say, there's so many different things that happen with tarot. And one thing that I find that's fun, actually, there's many things that I find that are fun. Like just the other day, I had this happen several times. I was pulling cards and I had 3 or 4 come out at a time, which I never take, and put them all back in. And I had this happen like 3 or 4 different times, and each time the card, the top card came back out. So it's like that message is meant to come through. So you get little confirmations,
Yeah.
all the time of stuff that's, it's absolutely communication with your guides and stuff. So
Like
it's
today.
very cool. And it's something else, and not everybody, and again, this is very individual, everybody's experience. This deck right here that I have,
Mm-hmm.
this deck communicates with me. That might sound crazy. It's not.
Nope.
I use different
You
decks, but
developed a
this
relationship
deck,
with it.
if I want a solid on something, and this is just I think it's Sherry Coleman, DSW. Is it DSW? No,
RSW
right, RSW.
or us.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Those
again, I
three
don't know
letters.
why they put this on the back, but they have done a worse back on these cards. No offense, because I love my deck, but it's just such a plain. This is it's just, it just is, and the more I use it, the more, and it's just like boom, boom, boom. I know exactly what it means when it lays out, and so you absolutely can connect with the deck. And then I'll see other readers that there's I won't say who it is. But there's this one guy that's on YouTube who's really good. He does similar type of readings as me. He's got a different deck every time you see him. He's got, I think, a bit of an addiction. He's kind of a junkie with buying tarot decks, and no, whatever.
Some people
And
like him for the
he's an
art, but I
amazing
was in that
reader.
for a while. Yeah.
He's an amazing reader, and there's no way he's connected to any of those decks. I mean, he'll open up a brand new deck, on his show and just shuffle it and start throwing cards, and he's amazing. And we're like, me, I'm gonna do much better because of the relationship that I have,
Hi,
with
Sarita.
and my point is, everybody's different. Everybody's different.
Mm-hmm. And Patricia put this up there too. And I've also noticed in the past that, and even when when I did have a few public readings last year, that people withhold information from you because they want to test you. And I hate that. I don't want to be tested. Give me the
What do you
information
mean?
that I need. Well, they won't give you full everything. Like I've had readings where um, they'll just say, they won't give me, how do I put it? They'll just give me like a very vague general question. And so I'm pulling cards and I'm looking, and it's just like,
Oh, they'll
okay, and I'm
test
trying
you.
to
Oh,
test
right.
me.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm just like, oh, and I'll be like, now finally, like last year, I said, but isn't there? And she's like, yeah. And I go, well, and I laughed. I go, girl, you just could have told me that. And she goes, well, I wanted to test you to see if you were good, or if you were right. And I'm just like, you know
Well,
what?
that's for people
And I've
that
noticed
don't
that
really
sometimes,
believe and all that. And I wouldn't even want to
and
read
that's
somebody
happened a
like
few
that.
times during our lives too. And I'm like, people, please don't come on here to test me. I just, give me basic information so that I can make a clear, connection with the cards. Because, like, Allyson and I and other readers have said, when we get general, sometimes one card can have like 15 or so, depending on how you read, could have more than 10 or 15 or whatever interpretations. So if you don't give us something a little bit more concrete to kind of focus that energy, and we can eliminate things that aren't, connected with your question with this
Right.
card, and we can focus more. And I'm just like past the whole don't kind of test me kind of thing.
Well, not only that, I mean, right, because then it can mean so many different things. But the one thing that is always helpful, this isn't for you, Heather, but for others, how the cards line up right there is going to help define what it means, right? Because of what the cards are and what are next to them and all of that. But without a question, it still has multiple readings. Another thing I just wanted to kind of randomly mention, because this popped into my head, is that I've seen, and I don't mean this in any bad way, I just think that this is something that can kind of muddy the waters. I've seen a couple people throughout my time watching YouTube that will do like what Heather and I did tonight, where you can just throw in a question and whatever. And there's a couple different people that do this, and you can watch. They have like a camera set up so you can see that the cards that they lay out or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I know tarot, and there's a couple people that always read the message positive, even when it's not, and they'll just make it rainbows and unicorns, and I'm like, that is not what that spread means.
Make it what they want to hear, so that
yes, because they don't want to, and I'm just sitting there going, no.
That's happened to me when I read with other people. They're like getting this really great message, and I'm looking at mine going, okay, so am I not reading my cards properly? Am I not picking up on the right person in chat? And I look,
And I get trying to, but again, I don't know. I mean, nobody wants to read anybody a bad message, but I don't know. I think you need to have integrity, and you need to read what you see. And true, everybody can interpret things differently, but there's certain cards, and especially in certain ways that they lay out, it's like, come on. It's like, that's anyways.
Yeah, I've seen that where I'm looking at the card going, that's not what that card means.
But that frustrates me when I see it. It's like, what are you talking about? It does not mean that at all. But I don't know. And I guess it depends on who's watching, because a lot of the people I see here, like in your chat and everything else, these are people that are on enough that even if you're not, you don't read.
These are my peeps. I feel good energy from them.
Cards mean.
Yeah.
So pay attention.
People are like, you need to get more subscribers and stuff, and I'm like, you know what? If this is all I have, if I have just the 500, and when I do a live, if these, saying, 10, 15 people that come in, that's okay with me, because when I see them, my face lights up. I know their energy is good. I know they're kind. They're good people. And I enjoy, more, subscribers are nice. Yes, I get to meet more people. But when there's certain people that pop in, I'll see and I'll smile. The minute I see, if I see Tangi or Septina pop in, I'm automatically smiling. Teresa Levine, Kristen Louise, everybody who pops in, and I'm not intentionally leaving anybody out. But when I see all these familiar names, it's like, oh, okay, my peeps are coming in. They're stopping by to say hi. And we know there's several other shows going on this evening, so we're very grateful and thankful that you popped in a few minutes out from those, and that you stepped in to say hi. So, and Rossi Sten says, I'm learning, so all this is new to me. Yep, we're all learning. If someone says, I don't have anything more to learn, and this is law, and this is how it is, and stuff, and that's why I wanted us to discuss that topic a couple of weeks ago on the sisterhood, about how much does ego play into our readings, because our guides say one thing, but someone will be like, well, my guides don't say that. My guides say this. And you don't want to call one person's guides a liar, but then at the same time, if you know what I mean? So it's just a lot of kind of learning, where the energy falls right for you, and what your intuition and what your gut, draws you to, what feels right. If you get a reading from somebody and you feel like something's not right. I don't connect with this. And then when I say something's not right, it doesn't mean that they're doing something bad. It's just, it's that particular maybe guide or that energy, may have a different spiritual opinion, even on the on another dimension. These are all sentient beings. So, like being here on Earth, some may have their own perspective and experience and information that is going to be different, that gets relayed to us, and if it doesn't resonate with us, we find one that does. So we're all different, we're all learning. Yeah. That's why when I kind of cringe when people say ascended masters, because when I hear the word master, I kind of cringe just because of some of the connotations in history with the word master. But we're all learning. I'm sure even on the other side, our ascended masters are still learning, because that's another whole dimension to have to learn and acclimate to, and learn about, to be able to continue giving guidance to those that they said that would help us here on Earth. So to me, whatever plane, dimension, universe, we're all learning and growing and working towards, improving that light. And boy, that was kind of long-winded. I'm sorry about that, Allison. I hope I didn't go off on a tangent there.
Oh no, you're fine.
Enchant. But sometimes when I start getting on a thought, and then the thought goes there, and then the thought goes there, sometimes it's like, Heather, oh, puppy. No, what's
Mr.
her name?
Scout.
Oh, Mr. Scout.
Mr. Scout.
Scout. Scout. I don't whistle very well. Scout.
He's giving you the.
He's giving me the. Oh my goodness.
He wants to go OUT.
Oh, you gotta go outie. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, thank you, Allison, for joining me, and Mr. Scout.
Thank you for. Thanks for everybody stopping by.
And you're welcome every Friday. Just so you know, the door is always open.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a great way to wrap up the work week.
It sure is. So we never stop learning, exactly as Adora.
No, and especially like with tarot too. It's like you'll learn tarot the rest of your life. It's a never ending. Yeah. You can learn and learn and learn.
And for those new to tarot, Gerald from Tarot Stash, he does have a whole playlist of where he teaches, and he's just not the teacher, but we all share our own experiences.
Oh, he does
and things in connection with the tarot. So if you go to his channel,
I love
check out his playlist. It's called Tarot the Stash Way. We cover all the suits, the court cards, the numerology. I still have to watch the ethics that he did with Deb H. Purple Elephant, because ethics is really important, and it's not stressed enough too a lot in readings, especially when it comes to third parties. So I really need to play back and watch that. But I have a book, notes like this, from being, taking his class, and it's free. So it's just people in chat sharing their knowledge of the tarot and what the cards, the symbols represent to them, and just all, compiling it into one, usually it's about 2 hours. And now, depending on how many questions or how fast they go through, but it is a really great, extensive introduction into tarot, most definitely. And check out this girl too, because she knows her tarot inside and out as well. So Allison's given me, I've had a private reading with Allison, and she is very spot on with what I asked her to read on. So she's very well knowledge in tarot as well. So Scout's got to go outie and go potty. So everybody have a wonderful rest of your evening and night. And hopefully I'll see some more of you tomorrow for Mother's Day readings with Andrea from My Tribe Tarot here at 7 p.m. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.